This is the intro. What is going on? Woo, woo, woo. What's going on? It's your boy, Anthony D. Harwood. And D stands for, you guessed it, D's nuts. And we're here to spread the word, here to talk about films, let you know what films are about. How do you watch films? And generally speaking, I'm just looking to kind of bank on some sort of form of popularity in order to validate my own success as a creator. So what better way to do that than to jump back on YouTube? We back from the holidays, back to provide more cool, wacky, fun action. Let's just get right into the video. But first, a word from our sponsor. Shut up. Sorry about that. I'm back. I say back, it's not exactly like I've been gone for super long, but certainly the amount of content I've been putting out there on this channel was slightly lessened of recent, and a big part of that's just been, I've been busy. Firstly, I've got a new setup. That's one of the things that's happened. This is kind of the setup for any of these kind of videos. This is what it's going to look like. You can still see Robert Pattinson. There he is, right there. So yeah, that was definitely a big thing that sort of slowed the amount of content I was producing, was just the fact that this whole room was being done, and not just logistically having to kind of film around it, but also just kind of mentally how I was feeling about this kind of quite big change in regards to moving around the house and having to kind of redecorate and reorganize, get rid of stuff, blah, blah, blah. I've also been on holiday, which has taken away some of the time in which to kind of create on here. And another big thing is that I have been writing and making some short films. One of which I have uploaded to this channel, which is called Movie Night, and you can watch it. You can go down to the channel right now, and you can watch it. It's right there. You can really grab it. It's right there. You can just do it. I've also got a new microphone, so how does that sound? So yeah, one of these short films I've made, Movie Night, is as a kind of a loose premise. It's about a couple who decide what to watch for the evening, and then things start to unravel and go strange between the two. As a filming experience, it was a lot of fun making it. I went out to London to meet with an actor who I've met through my online acting courses called Steph Crotty. I would recommend following her on Instagram and looking out for her. In terms of logistics of making it was just the two of us in London, plowing through it, filming everything just through my phone and whatever equipment I had on me, really sort of guerrilla style doing it. And then it was kind of quite a fun, easy edit for the most part. I think the one thing that always slows me down with editing is audio. Certain audio files that were missing and didn't kind of transfer over, having to handle things such as kind of like figuring out sound effects and Foley, and audio's never been my friend. I'm not a fan of audio. But as a whole, making Movie Night was a lot of fun. I'm very proud of it. I think in particular, Steph's really fantastic in it. I think if that's one of the biggest highlights for me in terms of watching Movie Night back is her character and her performance. And Steph brought a lot of really kind of interesting ideas and approaches to the film. I think initially I had kind of I lent quite hard into kind of the surrealist aspects of it when I was writing it, and I think showing it to Steph and talking with her, she really opened up my eyes to kind of these possibilities about it being more grounded than that and having it more be about this relationship between these two characters. And it was a really, really terrific insight on her part, and one that really helped kind of mould the film into what it is, I feel. I've also been writing and editing another short film, one which I will be entering into the Bath Film Festival. At the time of this recording, the deadline is like a matter of days away, and I'm pretty much finished completely with editing. This short film for the Bath Film Festival has been sort of about pushing me out of my comfort zone a bit. Being able to kind of just sort of make this whole thing myself it's been interesting, and it's been tough. Mainly in regards to kind of keeping within the constraints and the guidelines of the festival, as well as also making the narrative work in a way that feels truthful to what I wanted the piece to be about. It's a film that is a sort of remake of an older short film I did when I was 16 called Pandora, also on my YouTube channel if you want to give that a watch. It's sort of a loose retelling of that, but less about OCD and kind of that social anxiety, but instead kind of taking those anxieties and putting it more through a creative lens. And I think the film it's meant to be about my issues with artist block. For people who don't know me, I have a degree in illustration, and it was always a plan to do that alongside acting and filmmaking. But over time, the creating of art and creating, being an illustrator and painting, drawing, whatever, that all kind of started to fall away over the last kind of 3 years since lockdown. I've sort of fallen out of love with it, and I mainly do it for my own personal interest nowadays. But this short film for the festival has been a great way to sort of exercise some of those thoughts and feelings in regards to not just creating artwork, but just being a creative person in general. So after its submission to the Bath Film Festival, I'll hopefully be able to post it on this channel, so you'll be able to see it there. As a whole, in terms of watching it through and kind of looking through the edit and everything, I'm really proud of it. I think it's personally, I think it's one of the best things I've done in regards to kind of on a technical level and in terms of story. I do have a lot of issues. I think anything I make, doesn't matter how proud I am with it, whether it's movie night or this film for the festival, I will always have issues. I will always have stuff that I'm like, I fucking hate that. and there is stuff for this film that I am like, don't like that at all. So yeah, that's sort of an update of what's been going on in my life in regards to filmmaking and other kind of creative avenues, as well as also things changing, like room and going on holiday or whatever. But one thing this channel has been sort of primarily for, outside of promoting my efforts as a filmmaker and an actor, is it's a good place to talk about films. I like talking about films. I like watching films. By no means am I going to start breaking down into some lengthy analytical video. I just wanted to touch on some stuff I've watched recently, share my thoughts on them. One thing I watched of recent, when it pretty much came out, was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which is hands down one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. It was phenomenal. I was absolutely blown away by it. I also saw Beau is Afraid by Ari Aster. I absolutely love Ari Aster's work. Someone in the comment section of my Robert Eggers video I did, where I talked about his like trilogy of madness, I dubbed it, said, you should do Ari Aster's trilogy of sadness. And it's too tempting not to. Do you know what I mean? Especially after watching Beau is Afraid. I look at that alongside Midsummer and Hereditary, and I'm like, oh, damn you, that's such a good video idea. It's like, it's there, it's right there. It would be a shame not to. It sort of writes itself. But Beau is Afraid was cool. It's very weird. But the more I sat on it, the more I appreciated it more, not just in regards to it on a technical level or things such as Joaquin Phoenix's phenomenal performance, but just what the film was sort of trying to say in regards to kind of guilt in particular. That kind of, yeah, it stuck with me more. The more I kind of thought about it, I kind of felt more affected. Watched a little independent film called The Bystanders. That was really cool. Absolutely recommend that. It should be in cinemas soon. I was privileged enough to go to the premiere for it and meet a lot of really cool people. But yeah, keep an eye out for it. Support independent filmmakers as much as you can. And The Bystanders is a really cool, quirky, and really interesting film. I went through all of the Indiana Jones films in preparation for watching The Dial of Destiny. And on a rewatch, I'm kind of reminded how much I love Indiana Jones. I think my earliest memories of films in general has been watching Indiana Jones. I can picture so vividly watching Raiders of the Lost Ark with my mum and running out of the room when all the faces were melting at the end when the Covenant was opened. That is for me, like, I don't know how young I was, but that's such a vivid memory for me watching that. And yeah, rewatching them now, it's good to know that how much they still hold up. Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade especially are some of the best action adventure films I've ever seen. Temple of Doom had a really terrific third act, but everything beforehand was just really messy and felt quite odd to me, and there is some stuff in there that has not aged well. And Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is nowhere near as bad as I remember. I had a lot of fun watching that film. Really, really enjoyed most of the opening. I think the film really falls apart once the characters convene at the camp and Indy has the whole look into the skull moment, and they have the whole escape with the sandpit and the revelation about Mutt being a son and all that stuff. From there onwards, it really falls apart. And the whole alien reveal, with a different script and another world, I think Aliens in Indiana Jones can work. I think the problem comes down to aliens as a subject feeling too current. Jumping to aliens feels too soon. It feels like, I know it's like the time period where aliens was like starting to become a thing, but it doesn't feel like ingrained within history enough, I guess you could say. And maybe that just comes from me being like, aliens aren't real, you dingus. But Dial of Destiny was really cool. I enjoyed most of it. I think it has a terrific opening. I think it has a pretty decent middle of the film where things are kind of, they're moving around and some interesting set pieces happening. I think there's some really cool action moments. Perhaps a little too towards the CGI end, sort of similar to Crystal Skull, but, I think it worked better in this film than it did in Crystal Skull. The whole time travel thing, it worked for me. I didn't mind it at all. I felt like if this is the final Indiana Jones film, what better way to have a whole kind of big send-off for him and all these crazy mythical things that's happened to him? Why not have him travel back in time? He's an archaeologist. He loves history. Send him back in time. Let him view things right there. That's like the perfect end for this really old adventurer. And the way the film tackles age and how Indy fits within the world and how he's almost starting to feel like these things that he as an archaeologist, he digs up. He's just sort of disappearing despite all the crazy stuff he's seen. And those elements really worked for me. And I didn't think it was too nostalgia baity at all. I like the way it wrapped up. I think it's a really, really good film. And I get the critiques 100%. And I can see why things like time travel wouldn't work for people. Maybe it overstayed its welcome a little bit. But for the most part, I really enjoyed it in its place in this. I really enjoyed this as a film. And I love Indiana Jones. I watched the Super Mario Bros. Movie and I thought it was rubbish. I thought it was really bad. And of course I watched Barbie, and Barbie was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I love Greta Gerwig's direction. I love her writing. It's very silly, it's very goofy, and it knows how goofy it is. But I think there's some stuff it touches upon with like a lot of heartfelt sincerity, some deep honesty, as well as also deconstructing and sort of stripping away the artifice of like Barbie and what Barbie represents. I thought all that stuff worked really, really well. And obviously the performances around were terrific. Margot Robbie's performance in it is one that I keep thinking back on, and I keep going, hang on a second, she is brilliant in Barbie. She's brilliant. And of course Ryan Gosling as Ken. It's, you know, that musical number is gonna live. That's my happy place now. So yeah, that's sort of everything really. Hope you all have a wonderful day. I don't really know how to sign up. I've sort of forgotten how to sign up on these things. Like and subscribe. I know that's the big one. Like and subscribe if you want to. Stay safe out there. Watch films. And much love.